No wind, no birds. No water. Just a broken land of sand and silence. The sun hung low, but its heat was brutal. It cooked the planet's surface from above, turning rocks to dust and dust to ash. And in this wasteland, something new arrived. From the sky, 3 black ships cut through the clouds like spears. Their engines screamed, heat trails followed. Then impact. Boom, boom. Sand exploded as the ships landed. The side doors hissed open, and heavy metal feet stomped onto the desert floor. A squad of armored alien soldiers stepped out, their armor pulsing with red light. Their faces were covered with silver helmets that filtered the air. They were trained, elite, and merciless. Their leader stood tall among them, General Cotter. His armor was thicker. His claws were longer. A black insignia glowed on his chest, a skull wrapped in chains. It was a mark of high rank in the Threxan Empire, and Cotter had earned it with fire and death. He looked around at the land. Nothing but dry earth and heat waves. "This is the trial zone," he said in his deep, cold voice. "They call it D9. The humans chose it, and we accepted." One of the alien captains stepped forward. "Sir, this planet has no lakes, no rivers, no ground reserves. No signs of moisture." Cotter smiled inside his helmet. Perfect. This was not a battle for territory. It was a test. A challenge. A war of survival. The Threxan Empire wanted to prove that humans were weak, that they could not survive without their comforts, without their machines, without their water. This planet was designed to break them, but they didn't know about the human who was already here, about 500 miles away, hidden behind the rocky canyons of Sector 7G. A small human outpost sat half buried under the sand. It had no flag, no broadcast signals, no weapons visible on the outside. Just a steel pod with solar panels and heat shields. Inside, one man was still breathing. Commander Rain Carter, former Earth engineer, survivor of Mars colony collapse, military tactician. He was chosen for this trial not because he was the strongest, but because he was the most stubborn. Carter sat on a metal chair, staring at a flickering screen. His face was sharp and tired. His beard was growing. His eyes were red from the heat, but they were full of focus. The temperature inside the pod was 56 degrees Celsius. The air was dry. He took a deep breath and looked at the machine in front of him. A strange device stood in the corner, metal pipes, copper coils, a rotating turbine at the center, and a glowing blue core that pulsed with energy. Dust clung to its sides. It looked like junk to most, but Carter called it the EXTRA-CTOR. He stood up, walked to the device, and pressed a single button. The machine hissed softly. A tiny fan began to spin. Lights blinked to life. A thin mist appeared in the center tube. Then, a drop of water. Carter smiled for the first time in days. "Got you," he whispered. This wasn't magic. It was science. The device pulled moisture from the air molecules, invisible to the eye. Even in dry atmospheres, tiny traces of water still floated, and the extractor could find them. It was outlawed on Earth. Too expensive, too dangerous, too unstable. But here, it was the only chance of survival. Carter picked up a small metal cup and held it under the spout. Drip, drip, drip. 3 drops. Then a slow stream. He drank. Cold, real, life, outside. A warning light blinked on the radar screen. He wiped his mouth and looked. 3 heat signatures, incoming. Carter's voice was calm. "So, they've landed." He tapped a few buttons. A satellite camera feed lit up the monitor images from miles away. Black alien ships. Troops fanning out. Thermal footprints across the sand. The enemy had arrived. He opened a voice recorder and started a log. Trial log day 1. Subject: Threxan elite unit. Objective: survive 10 days on planet D9 without external aid. Resources minimal. Water level Stable for now. Morale high. He paused. Note, the aliens don't know I've got water. Let's keep it that way. Meanwhile, General Cater and his team were moving fast. The aliens had dropped supply crates. Inside were food packs, weapons, heat suits. But no water. That was the rule of the trial. Survive using what the land gives you, except this land. Gave nothing. By hour 4, one soldier collapsed. Heat stroke. Thirst. By hour 6, 2 more fell behind. They couldn't sweat, their suits were overloaded. Internal cooling systems were dying. Cotter growled. This is not a battle of strength. It is patience. He gathered his team under a rocky outcrop. We do not need water, he said. The humans do. Let them die first. He was wrong. Because Rain Carter wasn't dying. He was planning. He walked outside the pod wearing a light armor suit with solar reflectors. His helmet filtered dust. On his wrist was a scanner. He climbed a ridge and looked out at the horizon. Sand, rocks, echoes of ship, engines in the wind. Then he saw something odd, dust clouds moving unnaturally. He zoomed in. Alien patrols. Carter smirked. They're already sweating in their suits. Good. He opened his backpack and pulled out a small cube. He dropped it on the ground. It blinked, then disappeared. Camouflage tech. A fake heat signal would now confuse enemy sensors. Let's see how smart you are, he whispered. Back at the alien camp, a siren rang. One of the scouts had found something. A human signal power spike. 400 clicks northeast, a soldier reported. Cotter turned. A base? We're not sure. Too small for a base. Then it's him, the human survivor. Cotter's eyes narrowed. Send a squad. Bring him to me. 3 soldiers climbed into hoverbikes and shot across the sands. They followed the signal. But it was a trap. The heat source led them into a canyon. The sun amplified off the rocks, raising the temperature to fatal levels. Their suits couldn't handle it. One fell off his bike. Another screamed inside his helmet. The last tried to turn around, but by then, Carter had already activated the next device. A sonic burst. Boom. The rocks shifted, and a mini landslide buried the canyon entrance. 3 alien dots on Carter's screen. Vanished. Dead. Double quotes. No. Cotter growled. He's playing with us. The human was not hiding. He was fighting. Silently. Slowly. Smart. That night, Carter sat under the stars, recording again. Day 1, end log. 3 Threxan units neutralized. No water consumed in defense. Extractor running at 84% efficiency. They'll get desperate soon. And that's when they'll make mistakes. He looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was listening. Or maybe not. He didn't care. He would survive this. He would show them what humans were really made of. Not water. But will. And far away, Cotter watched the night through thermal scopes. He saw no movement. But in his chest, something strange was growing. Out. Night-covered planet D9 in silence. No cities, no voices. Just cold winds and blinking stars above the dry desert. But deep inside Sector 7G, something was moving quiet, precise. Commander Rain Carter sat beside his machine, the extractor. Its soft blue core glowed in the dark like a heartbeat. Pipes hissed. The turbine spun slowly. And in the center tube, clean drops of water formed one after another. Carter drank from his metal cup. It was cold, fresh. A miracle in this dead place. He leaned back against the wall, closed his eyes for a moment, and listened to the quiet hum of the device. He remembered something. A child's voice. His daughter's voice. Daddy, how can you drink from the sky? He smiled sadly. You just have to know where to look. But there was no time for memories. A red light blinked on his radar. Multiple signals. Scanning. Getting closer. Threxan scouts. He whispered. He opened his wrist device and activated the motion sensors around the canyon. 5 heat dots. Rapid movement. They were close. He stood up, grabbed his pulse rifle, and whispered to himself, "Let's give them something to chase." Carter walked to a side panel on the extractor. He pulled out a small sphere. It was about the size of a fist, shiny, silver, and blinking. He tossed it into the air. The sphere floated upward, hovered in the air, and vanished, cloaking activated. A few seconds later, it released a fake heat signal 700 meters northeast, far enough to draw attention, but not too far to track. The bait was set. 3 alien scouts hovered just above the ground on silent glide bikes. Their thermal scopes were scanning the dunes. They were Threxan recon units trained to smell radiation, detect electrical pulses, and track even the smallest shift in air pressure. One of them stopped. "Heat spike," he said. "Northeast. 700 meters. The leader nodded. Double quotes human signature. Could be a power core, low-level energy, possibly water. The word made all of them tense. Water. They hadn't had a drop in 2 days. Their internal coolants were dry. One soldier's tongue was cracked. The others moved slower than usual. "We go," the leader ordered. "Find it." They rushed toward the signal, but it was empty. Just a camouflaged rock with a heating coil. Buried inside. A trick. Then it hit them. Boom. A small sonic mine activated beneath their feet. It didn't explode with fire, it used pressure. The blast knocked all 3 scouts into the air, cracking their helmets and stunning them. Carter was watching from above the ridge. He aimed his pulse rifle but didn't fire. "Let them crawl back," he said. "Let them tell their leader I stole water from the sky." He tapped his recorder. Trial log day 2. Enemy scouting party neutralized. No injuries. Water level stable. Extractor holding at 87%. Psychological tactics deployed. Time to spread fear. He looked up at the stars again. "You called me crazy when I built this thing," he muttered. "Now look who's thirsty." Inside the main alien ship, General Cater watched the footage from the scouts. Cracked visors, static. Shaking voices, false signal, one said. It wasn't real. Just heat and sound. "He tricked us." Cotter slammed his fist on the table. "This human is not a soldier. He's a technician, a coward, yet he plays us like fools." An advisor approached. "Sir, I believe he's using ancient atmospheric tech. The kind banned on Earth. The kind that makes water from dry air." Cotter turned slowly. "Impossible. No such device works at this scale." "He has one," the advisor said, "and it works." Silence. Then Cotter said 4 words that chilled the room. "He is stealing the sky." Carter returned to his bunker. He wiped sweat from his brow and checked the extractor's filter. Still clean, still running. He powered up a small transmitter and sent a low-level signal toward Earth Command, but the response came back scrambled. No connection. He was truly alone. He looked at the camera. "I'm recording this in case I don't make it. This is Commander Rain Carter, participant of Trial D9. I'm not just surviving, I'm winning. I've pulled 2.3 liters from the sky. The aliens, they're falling apart." He stopped, his face turned serious. "But this isn't just about water, it's about power. If they find my device, they'll take it. If they take it, they'll use it to control entire planets." He paused. "I won't let that happen." Meanwhile, the aliens were changing tactics. Instead of chasing heat signals, they planted scanners across the land. Micro-drones flew in every direction, searching for air shifts, electromagnetic pulses, and water particles. They were desperate. One drone buzzed near Carter's canyon. It scanned a small patch of sky. For a moment, it caught something, a microscopic trace of moisture in the air, just 0.01%. That was enough. It sent the signal back. Cotter watched it on screen. "There," he growled. "He's nearby. The water thief hides in those rocks." He turned to his strike team. "Send a Spectre." A Spectre was not a soldier. It was a hunter. Half machine, half beast. It moved in silence, killed in silence, and left no trail. It was the Threxon's most feared unit. And now, it was hunting Rain Carter. Carter sat inside his bunker, reviewing maps. He drew lines on a digital tablet paths where the aliens moved. Areas where they didn't return, wind direction, heat flow, every detail mattered. But something didn't feel right. The air was too quiet. No motion alerts. No signals. He stepped outside with caution. His sensors didn't detect anything. But then, they weren't designed to see specters. He walked slowly along the ridge, looking left and right. Then he stopped. Something had moved. Not wind. Not dust. It was fast. Almost invisible. A blur. He turned sharply, raised his rifle. Nothing. His heart beat faster. He returned to the bunker quickly. He didn't know it yet, but the Spectre was already inside the canyon. Watching. Waiting. That night, Carter set up extra traps, pressure mines, motion beacons, a laser fence made from salvaged ship parts. He spoke softly into his log. Trial Day 2 final notes. Enemy getting smarter. Sending different units now. Possibly stealth. Still no visual. Extractor secure for now. He took one last sip of water and turned off the lights. But the Spectre did not sleep. At midnight, it crept through the canyon, sliding along the walls like a shadow. It avoided the pressure mines, ducked under the laser fence, and disabled a beacon with a tiny electric pulse. It reached the bunker wall and waited. It was ready to strike. Inside, Carter dreamed of rain, but the war for water was only just beginning. Night turned to morning, but Planet D9 offered no comfort. The sky was pale, the wind dry. The desert heat returned with fire, and deep inside Sector 7G, the war for survival continued. Commander Rain Carter was awake before the sun rose. He hadn't slept much. Something was wrong last night. He checked his perimeter. Traps untouched. Motion alerts silent. Still, his instincts said danger. He tapped his wrist scanner. It showed nothing. No heat, no sound, no movement. But Carter had learned long ago that technology can lie. Nature doesn't. He knelt, ran his fingers through the dust outside his bunker door. The sand was disturbed, not by wind, by something heavy. Something crawling. Then he saw it. One tiny, perfect claw mark. His eyes narrowed. Something was here. 50 kilometers away, inside. The Threxon command ship, General Carter, was not doing well. His face looked pale under his helmet. His lips were cracked. His voice dry and rough. He needed water. So did every Threxon soldier. The heat had pushed their bodies to the edge. Cooling units were failing. Internal suits began to lock up. Even their skin began to peel under the armor. Desert was winning, but Carter refused to retreat. The human survives while we die, he growled. Unacceptable. His second-in-command whispered, "We lost 8 more units last night. Heat exhaustion. They found nothing." Carter's fist hit the table. The Spectre will not fail. It always returns. But this time, it might not. Back in the canyon, Carter began preparing for the worst. He reinforced the bunker walls, covered the solar panels with dust netting, and secured the extractor with a fresh shield. He turned to his log. Trial log day 3. Water. Level is holding. Extractor running at 79%. Enemy tactics changing. They're hiding now, not attacking. That's never a good sign. He walked outside. The desert stretched out, endless and cruel. But something caught his eye on the rocks above his ridge. Claw marks. Not deep, but fresh. Carter raised his rifle and scanned the cliffs. Nothing moved, but he felt eyes. He returned to the bunker, locked the doors, and checked his oxygen feed. Only 38 hours left of clean air, unless the air scrubbers kept working. The extractor wasn't just for water, it was now keeping him breathing. He sat down. Whatever's out there, it's close. And it wants my machine. He picked up a small drone from the shelf, round, light, fast. He programmed it with one task: seek heat, avoid traps. Report back. The drone zipped out the vent and vanished into the sky. Carter waited. 10 minutes passed, then 20. Then it returned. It was damaged. Clawed. Sparks flew from its engine as it hovered in. Carter grabbed it, plugged it into the monitor, and reviewed the footage. At first, just rocks and shadows. Then a blur. Then something sharp, fast, almost invisible. The Spectre. Carter paused the video. Got you. It wasn't a soldier. It wasn't human. It was hunting him like an animal. He zoomed in. 4 limbs, silver shell, black skin underneath. Cloaking tech. Weakness? None found yet. Carter's face hardened. If you want my water, come and get it. That night, the Spectre moved again. It didn't breathe. It didn't need rest. It lived for one purpose: track and kill. It approached the canyon. Walls in total silence. It bypassed every trap. It reached the vent of the bunker and listened. Inside, Carter sat in complete darkness. He wasn't sleeping. He was waiting. He heard the metal shift, the soft whisper of claws against steel. He pressed a button. Instantly, a floodlight burst through the vent, blinding white. The Spectre screamed, a sound that wasn't fully alive. Carter activated the second defense, a magnetic pulse. Boom. The Spectre dropped from the vent and hit the canyon floor. Stunned. Carter rushed out with his rifle and opened fire. Short, clean bursts. One hit. Sparks flew, but the Spectre vanished again. Fast. Too fast. It escaped, but wounded. Carter scanned the dust. A trail, black fluid. Its blood? Or maybe cooling gel. He picked up a piece of its claw from the ground, shiny, sharp, burned at the edge. He smiled. Now we hunt. Inside the Threxan ship, Carter coughed. His skin peeled from his arms. His eyes were red. His officers lay unconscious from dehydration. A medic approached. We have 20 hours before total system failure. We must extract. Carter growled. No, not yet, sir. The Spectre has not returned. Carter stood slowly, his legs weak. Then we send all of them. All of what, sir? He pointed to the map. Every last warrior. Back at the canyon, Carter studied the Spectre's fluid. It wasn't blood. It was coolant. He scanned the chemical structure. 92% liquid nitrogen mix. Weak to heat. He knew what to do. He collected wires, a battery core, and scrap metal. 3 hours later, he built it. A heat bomb. A tiny core that could spike up to 400 degrees Celsius. In under 2 seconds, if the Spectre returned, it would melt. He set the trap at the canyon entrance. But just as he finished placing it, his radar lit up. 20 signals. No. 30. The aliens were coming. Not scouts. Not cloaked units. The entire squad. Marching. Fast. Straight for him. They're desperate, he whispered. They're coming for the extractor. He ran back to the bunker, locked the door, and turned off all power except for life support. His water was now worth more than gold, more than life. As the alien troops moved closer, they looked like ghost bodies too weak to stand, but still marching. They followed the Spectre's last signal. It led them straight to Sector 7G. They reached the ridge, then boom. The heat bomb exploded. 1 Spectre gone in smoke. 2 soldiers collapsed from shock. Carter watched from the shadows, heart pounding. He fired 1 shot, then moved, hit, run, hide. He wasn't stronger than them, but he was smarter. He led them into the heat, into confusion, into death. And all the while, the extractor kept spinning. Drip, 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 hope. The sun had burned the sky red on planet D-9. The desert was no longer silent. Explosions echoed in the distance. Smoke rose like dark fingers into the orange air. Commander Rain. Carter crouched behind a broken rock, his rifle pressed against his shoulder. The battle had started. He watched the alien soldiers move through the sand, slow and tired but deadly. Their armor was cracked and dusty. Their faces were pale, eyes wild with thirst and anger. They were desperate, but so was he. The extractor, hidden nearby, kept working. Drip by drip, it pulled water from the dry air. But now, every drop was worth fighting for. Carter's heart pounded. He knew the aliens wanted to destroy the machine, to end his small hope of survival. He fired a quick burst at an enemy scout. Advancing toward the bunker, the scout fell, but more were coming. Carter moved fast, ducking between rocks, his mind racing. He needed a plan. The aliens weren't just soldiers anymore. They had brought fire. Flamethrowers lit the sand. Ablaze. Ash and smoke clouded the air. Carter coughed. The dry heat burned his throat. He saw a group of aliens near a ridge. Their leader, General Cotter, stepped forward, his voice booming in the strange language. "Give us the water or die." Carter shouted back, "You want water? Fight for it." Explosions cracked nearby. Carter activated the traps he had set, heat bombs and sonic mines. One blast knocked several aliens to the ground, but more kept coming. The desert turned into a battlefield of ash and fire. Suddenly, the specter appeared again. It moved like a shadow, silent and deadly. Carter fired, but it dodged every shot. The specter came close, its sharp claws glinting in the firelight. Carter ducked just in time. The beast slashed the rock where he stood. He smiled grimly. "You're fast, but I'm ready." Using a small flare, Carter blinded the specter for a moment. Then he threw a heat bomb at its feet. The device exploded, sending waves of intense heat. The specter screeched and fled. The battle raged on. Carter's water ran low, but his will stayed strong. He fought for survival, for the chance to prove that humans could endure anything. As night fell, the desert cooled. The aliens retreated, nursing their wounds. Carter returned to the bunker. The extractor was safe, but for how long? He knew. This was only the beginning. The Ash War had just started. After the fierce battle, silence returned to Planet D9, but it was a quiet filled with danger. Commander Rain Carter sat inside his bunker, tired but alert. The extractor hummed softly, still pulling water from the dry desert air outside. The desert was dark and still. Too still. Carter didn't trust the silence. He checked his sensors again. No movement. No heat signatures, but something felt wrong. Suddenly, a soft vibration shook the ground. Beneath the bunker, Carter's eyes snapped open. He grabbed his rifle and moved quickly to the entrance. His fingers hovered over the pressure mines, ready to detonate. Outside, the shadows moved, but they were not like the aliens he had fought before. These were quiet, slow, careful, invisible. A figure slipped past the traps. Silent as the night. It was the specter, but this time it was not alone. 2 other cloaked hunters appeared, shadows merging with the dark. They circled the bunker like wolves. Carter's breath caught. He activated his emergency lights. A harsh red glow bathed the walls. He took a deep breath. "Come on then. Show yourselves." The specters moved forward, slow but deadly. Carter fired, but the bullets passed through empty air. The hunters cloaked by invisible shields. His traps were useless. The 3 specters attacked together. They tried to break the bunker walls. Their claws scraped metal and stone. Inside, Carter fought back with every weapon he had. He threw grenades, fired pulse shots, and sealed doors. Suddenly, one specter lunged through a broken window. Carter struggled with the beast. Sharp claws scratched his armor. He punched hard. The creature hissed and pulled back. The battle became a fight for survival. Carter's air was running low. His strength was fading, but he refused to give up. Then, in the darkest moment, the extractor's alarm blared. Water levels were dropping fast. Carter knew his time was short. He gritted his teeth. "If I lose this, we all lose." With a sudden burst of energy, Carter activated his final trap, a powerful electromagnetic pulse. The pulse hit the SPECTREs. Their cloaks flickered. They roared in pain and disappeared into the night. The desert grew quiet again. Carter collapsed to the floor, breathing hard. He looked at the extractor's screen. Water was still dripping. Hope was still alive, but the war was far from over. The silent shadows would return. And next time, they would be stronger. The days on planet D9 grew darker. The desert wind howled like a wild beast, carrying dust that burned the skin. Commander Rain Carter felt the weight of exhaustion deep in his bones. The extractor was working, but barely. Water dripped slower. His supplies were low. His body was weak, but his mind was sharp. He knew the aliens were planning something bigger. Something deadly. In the shadows, General Carter gathered his warriors. His skin cracked, and his breath was shallow. He was no longer the fierce leader everyone feared. He was desperate. "We will take the extractor," he said hoarsely, "or die trying." His soldiers nodded, eyes glowing with hate and hunger. Carter watched the sky. Storm clouds were gathering. Rare event on D-9. Rain might come, but rain was also danger. It could wash away his traps. It could hide enemy movements. He needed to act fast. He checked the extractor. The machine gave a weak beep. Only 2 liters left. 2 liters that meant life or death. He connected his radio to send a message, but the signal was weak. Static filled the air. No answer. He was alone. Suddenly, his alarm sounded. Movement detected. He grabbed his rifle. Outside, he saw shadows moving fast. The alien army was approaching. They were not just soldiers. They brought heavy weapons. FLAMETHROWERS. Missile launchers. The last attack. Carter fired as they came. Shots echoed. Explosions rocked the canyon. The air was thick with smoke. Carter moved quickly, dodging fire. He used every trick he had, but the aliens pushed forward. Closer. He heard a loud crack. His bunker door was broken. The Spectre entered. Its glowing red eyes locked on Carter. The final battle. Carter raised his rifle, but his arms shook. Was tired. Weak. The Spectre lunged. Carter fired. A blast hit the beast's arm. It screeched but did not stop. They fought hand to hand, claws against fists. Pain against pain. Suddenly, the extractor beeped loudly. The machine was about to fail. Water stopped dripping. Carter knew it was over. He looked the Spectre in the eyes and whispered, "This is not the end." With his last strength, Carter pressed a hidden button. A shockwave exploded from the bunker. The Spectre was thrown back. The alien soldiers stopped. The canyon shook. Carter fell to the ground, breathing hard. He saw the sky darken. Rain began to fall. A few drops. Life returned to the desert. But Carter's eyes closed. His body gave out. The war was not finished, but hope was alive. The rain fell softly on planet D-9. Drops touched the dry sand, turning it to mud. The desert had never felt so strange and so alive. Commander Rain Carter lay still, breathing shallow but alive. He opened his eyes to the sound of water dripping. The extractor had survived. His body was weak, but his spirit burned. Far above, a human rescue ship broke through the thick clouds. A beam of light cut through the dark sky. They had come. Help had arrived. Inside the bunker, Carter tried to stand. His legs trembled. He reached for the radio. "Mayday," he whispered. Static at first. Then a clear voice answered. "We read you, Commander. Hold tight. Rescue is on the way." Outside, the alien forces were in retreat. Their leader, General Carter, watched the rain fall. His face was hard, but there was fear in his eyes. The water was a threat. Their drought was over. Their advantage was gone. Carter looked outside. The desert was changing. Life was returning. Plants pushed through cracked soil. Small animals emerged from hiding. The extractor still worked. He smiled weakly. The war was not over, but a new day was beginning. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the canyon, the specter, but it did not attack. It watched as if waiting. Carter raised his rifle slowly. The specter took a step back, then disappeared into the desert. The commander whispered, "Maybe this war can end." Hope was fragile, but real. The rescue ship landed. Bright lights filled the sky. Human voices called out. Carter's heart filled with relief. He was not alone anymore. The desert's trial was ending. The war was far from finished. But for the first time, hope had won. The sun rose slowly over planet D9, painting the sky with colors of fire and gold. Commander Rain Carter stood outside the bunker, breathing the fresh, cool air. The rain had stopped, but the ground was wet and soft. Life was returning to the desert. Human rescue team had arrived with supplies, weapons, and hope. Carter greeted them with a tired smile. "We did it," he said quietly. "We survived." But the war was not over. Far across the canyon, alien forces regrouped. General Carter was furious. His warriors were wounded, hungry, and weak, but they were still dangerous. Carter looked at the extractor. It was still working, pulling water from thin air. The machine was a symbol of human will and science. It was their greatest weapon. The aliens launched one last attack. Flames lit the sky. Explosions shook the ground. Carter and the rescue team fought with all their strength. Shouts filled the air. The specter appeared again, faster, stronger, more deadly. It charged at Carter. But this time, he was ready. He raised a new weapon, a pulse rifle designed to disable the specter's cloaking. He fired. The specter screamed as its invisibility failed. Carter took aim and fired again. Beast fell. The alien forces began to retreat. Their leader, Carter, growled and vanished into the desert. The humans had won this battle. But the war for survival on planet D9 was just beginning. Carter stood tall, holding the extractor's control panel. Water dripped steadily. Life was possible here. Humanity had carved a place in this harsh world. He looked up at the sky. Tomorrow is ours.